Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about my top 7 eyeshadow palettes for summer. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. So I love doing these types of videos seasonally. As we're approaching a new season, I always just love to talk about my favorite palettes for the upcoming season, and this video is also meant to inspire you to dig through your collection and see what you might want to play with. So that's what I've done. I actually don't have any new palettes here. I just pulled the palettes that really spoke to me when I think of summer. So there's a lot of warm tones, there's a lot of lighter colors, and just shades in general that just make me think of a warm, sunshiny day. So in no particular order, the first palette that I have is the ColourPop Clay It Cool palette. So this is one I really fell in love with, I think actually during the fall, because it really is just such a beautiful, very warm color story. But there's something about these bronzy tones in here that really bring out my blue eyes. So I really do like that. I think the formula in here is so good. I don't think the cream formula is the best, but I love the impact from the shimmers. I think the mattes are fabulous. I just think this palette is so beautiful, and it just makes me think of beachy summer days. There's definitely a lot of overlap between palettes that I like for summer and fall, as well as palettes for summer and spring. There's definitely some overlap, and I think of summer as almost sort of a combination of the two. We're still going for those more lighter, brighter colors, but we're also starting to embrace warm and cozy as well, if that makes sense. So this one I just think is perfect for that. A palette that was released last year and that I fell in love with is the NARS Summer Unrated Eyeshadow Palette. So this is what started my love for NARS eyeshadow formula. This is one that I just think is so pretty. I love that you get these very neutral tones. I love that you get some pinks in here. I love that you get a nice gold. I just think this palette is so perfect. I think pinks and brownie neutrals are so beautiful for the summer, as well as these little pops of purple and a warm gold. I don't love yellow golds personally, but they do seem very summery to me because I just see sunshine. So I think this palette is so beautiful for summer, and the formula in here is so good. So if you did get this one last year, I would definitely dig it out for the summer. Okay, a palette that I really don't know what season this one speaks to me the most, but this is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. So this one I struggle because it does have these very neutral browns, but then you have this sunshine gold shade right in the middle. I don't typically love that shade. I don't love yellowy golds, but I can't help but think summer. When I look at this palette, it definitely makes me think of honey, and it's just such a beautiful neutral palette for the summer. I really just think this is a great palette anytime, but for summer, it definitely brings out those sunshiny tones, those neutral everyday shades. It's just really pretty. It's bright, it's happy. I really do think this one is such an old classic when it comes to summer neutral palettes. Next is from Viseart, and this is the Paris Love Letter palette. So this is one that I also really enjoy during the spring. It's a very soft palette. So if you're somebody who really likes a lot of dimension and depth, you might not love this one, but this one's just so pretty. It's so pretty for every day. This pop of green and pop of purple really give it that extra special little something. Otherwise, you get a lot of these neutral browns and peaches, which are always flattering. And I think those neutral browns and peachy pinky tones are so summery. And there's something about this lime green that just absolutely screams summer to me. So I wish there was more to build off of this lime green. Obviously you can do whatever, but I just think that lime green is so beautiful. Let's swatch it actually. How pretty is that shade? It's so beautiful. So I really do want to do something with it, but this palette just gives me all the summer feelings. Again, it's very light and just kind of airy and pretty. You get pops of color, but not too much, so you can go very neutral or you can have fun with it. And these are going to give you such a beautiful light wash of color. I think that's so beautiful. And Viseart makes such an incredible formula. It's very long wearing. They're so blendable. They work so well together. So I really, really do think this one is a beautiful palette for the summer. And thinking of light washes of color, one color that is one of my all-time favorites to wear are my pinky tones. So I pulled the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. I do mention this one a lot, but I like it so much. I love that you get these neutrals. They do tend to lean purple, which doesn't bother me. I think they're gorgeous. And these shades in here are so special and dimensional. Like, I've said it before, I think Huda does texture better than anybody else. But I just think some of these shades are so pretty and ethereal, and that ethereal thing is definitely very summery to me. Just that purpley shift I think is so fun. You can also go with a very, very light wash of color, a very light pink, but also you can just have so much fun with it with these types of shades here. So I think this palette has so much potential to do so many different things. If you like pinks and purples, this is just such a beautiful option. A palette that I actually picked up during Black Friday is from Sigma, and this is the Enchanted palette. So this is another one that's been around for quite a while at this point. And this one I thought reminded me very much of fall with these deeper tones here on this end. But then when I think of these shades, I very much see spring, and that's when it hit me. This is a beautiful, beautiful summer palette. You can go deeper, you can get some depth, but you can also just get a really light wash of color. But you also have this sunshiny gold, you have these greens to kind of play with and spice things up a little bit. This palette is absolutely a summer palette. When I first got it, I wasn't really reaching for it that much, and I didn't really understand because I've always loved the color story of this one. The packaging is second to none, but I wasn't really reaching for it, and that's when I realized it's because I very much feel drawn to it as a more summer palette. So this one's going to get a lot of use from me in the upcoming months, and I'm very, very excited for that. This is really that perfect mix of depth with also a wash of color. I just think it's stunning. And finally, the last palette I wanted to mention is also a fairly obvious one, but this is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. So I think this was her summer release for 2020. And it's beautiful. This is all of your cozy, warm tones all in one. When I look at this palette, I think sunshine, I think beach, and I think there actually is a shade in here called beach. Yeah, it's this one. It's just very, very summery to me. This is one I like to bring out in the fall too when I'm looking for those warm, cozy shades. A lot of the looks you create with this one do end up looking quite similar. There really isn't a ton of range, but this is so, so pretty. I love her formula so much. I do think she has my very favorite eyeshadow formula, and this one is beautiful. I love how you can stay with these mattes if you want to, or you can get so much impact from the shimmers. I do think she did a great job with this one, and this one has to be one of the most summery palettes I have. And that is it. Those are the palettes that I plan on using the most in the upcoming summer months. Let me know down below what are your favorite summer palettes. I love hearing from you guys so, so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!